Has anyone ever told you that you're too sensitive? Or have you ever felt like you just feel things more deeply than other people? Or have you ever thought that your thoughts just seem to be more intense and complex than a lot of the people around you? If you've ever thought or felt any of these things, my friend, then chances are you are a highly sensitive person. And this is not a flaw. This is not a weakness. This is something that can make certain aspects of your life more challenging, but with healthy boundaries and with building up your resilience, it can be one of your greatest strengths, one of your biggest superpowers. And today I'm going to talk about what the main signs are to know whether or not you are a highly sensitive person. And I have another video where I go more in depth and give more examples with this, and I'll put the link to that below. But this is just the Coles Notes version so that you can know within a couple minutes whether or not you're a highly sensitive person. I'm going to talk about the things that make it a struggle and that can make it a challenge, not always, but sometimes. And then I'm going to talk about the things that make it your greatest strength, your biggest superpower. And the first sign is that you need to take breaks on busy days. You don't just like to take breaks, you need to take breaks, or you feel like you're going to fall apart or just spontaneously combust. The next one is that when you have a long to-do list, you get really frazzled and overwhelmed and can even be paralyzed into inaction. You have a lot to do, but you just sit there staring blankly and feel like you just can't get yourself to do anything. The next one is that caffeine has a big effect on you, that you might not even be able to drink coffee, or you have to have a really early cutoff time, like 11 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And just out of curiosity, I'd love to hear your cutoff time when you have to stop drinking coffee without it keeping you awake and staring at the ceiling all night. I'd love to hear. And the next one is that you find that your senses can get really overwhelmed easily, that you find like fluorescent lights irritating, that you find loud, sharp sounds off-putting, that clothes, different fabrics can really bother you, that certain smells can just really get to you. And the next one is that you get really emotional and have a hard time coping when you're sleep deprived. That sleep has a big impact on your mental health and well-being. And the next one is that you find it hard to switch gears when you're focused on something or really intensely involved in something. That you find it hard to just turn your attention to something else without feeling kind of jarred or put off. And the next one is that you have a hard time making decisions a lot of the time because you really fear making the wrong decision. So can get stuck in indecision quite often. The next one is that you have trouble not taking things personally, even when there's no evidence that something is personal. And number 9 is you hate failing or making mistakes and try to do everything in your power to avoid this happening. You don't just not like making mistakes, you hate it and almost feel like you cannot handle it and try to avoid it at all cost. The next one is that you find it hard when plans change at the last minute. When you have an idea in your head about how something's going to go and something comes in and throws that off or throws it out the window altogether, you find it really upsetting. You can sometimes even have a hard time regrouping after that. The next one is that you need quiet to get things done. In order to focus and be productive, you need it to be quiet. The next one is that you don't like violent movies or violent TV shows, and you tend to avoid them and really not even allow yourself to watch them kind of ever, because you know what's going to happen, what you're going to be thinking about, and the nightmares you're going to have, and the thoughts that are going to pop up, and the visions that are going to present themselves if you do. And then the last one in this section is that you have a really hard time saying no, which is why the healthy boundaries thing that I was talking about is so incredibly important. The strengths. Let's talk about what makes this your superpower. One of the things is being a highly sensitive person means that you are conscientious, you are aware, and you are considerate, and you work well with others because of this. People like being around you. They like doing things with you. The next one is you notice and totally just savor delicious tastes and smells. So bad smells really put you off, but good smells really bring you into this almost altered state of being. The next one is you can feel other people's emotions without them having to say anything. Let me know if this is something that you've ever been able to do, that you just kind of know, and you sometimes wonder why other people can't pick up on your feelings and don't know what you need, because you're really good at just knowing what other people need without them having to say anything. Let me know in the comment section below if this is one of your superpowers. The next one is that you can tell when people are uncomfortable, again, even without them having to say anything, and you know what to do to make them feel more comfortable. You're also the person that notices the person in the room who is kind of standing there awkwardly and doesn't have anyone to talk to, and you know how to draw them in and make them feel like they are important and they are a part of things. The next one, people trust you deeply and maybe even feel really comfortable from kind of the offset, telling you personal things about them, that they trust you, that you just have this air, that you exude this level of emotional safety for people. Which leads very perfectly into the next one, which is that you are amazing at holding space for other people's emotions. You are so good at being there for them. And number 20 is that you are very observant and you can tell when someone is being authentic. You have a hard time relating to people who are just blowing smoke up your butt. You know when someone is trying to pull one on you, when they are not being real, and you have a really hard time being around those kinds of people. Which brings us into number 21, which is a great one, in that you can smell BS a mile away. Your BS senses are on point. You know when something isn't right. The next one, that creativity, art, and music hit you at a deep emotional level, and even things like art, creativity, and music can pull you out of a struggling emotional state into a much more happy, uplifted, positive emotional state. Like even just listening to a really great song can take you from, 0 to hero in 45 seconds. The next one is that you feel things at a gut level and you have an incredible intuition. And number 24, you're not afraid to think about those deeper, more complex things. That doesn't scare you. You actually kind of like it. And then number 25, you can feel when others are struggling, and you are really good at being there when they are. But my friend, if this is you, you need to have healthy boundaries. If you are an empathic, sensitive person in these ways, this is a superpower, but can also be something that can be heavy on you, that can weigh on you, that can feel overwhelming for you. If you do not have healthy boundaries, they are a must. So to get you started with that, I have a free download, 25 ways to say no. That's a good place to start. Grab that download and start learning some ways to be able to have those boundaries. Like the video, share it out. Let me know what you thought of this. Subscribe to the channel so we can stay connected, and let me know which one of these connected with you, which one stood out the most. Tell me the one that stood out the most. Join my Facebook group, goodformegroup.com. and I will see you there. Take good care.